Great. It is now 9:03, and I would like to call to order the meeting of the Building and Operating Committee of Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. Before we begin, please note this meeting is live streamed on YouTube and recorded. Members of the public are encouraged to watch and listen to the meeting online or by dialing into 415-569-6446 for the audio of this meeting. If you would like to provide public comment then at today's meeting, and if you have not already done so, please then call 415-569-6446 and let the facilitator know what items you would like to speak on today. Madam Secretary, please begin by calling the roll.
Good morning again, everyone. We'll start with Director Cochran.
Here.
Director Conroy. That's it. Director Hernandez.
Here.
Director Parr. It's absent. Director Rabbit.
Present.
Oh, there we go. Director Rabbit.
Here.
Thank you. Director Thier.
Here.
Vice Chair Maston.
Here.
Chair Garbarino.
Here.
And President Tirio.
Here.
Thank you. Also on the line, you have Directors Hill, Grosboll, Rodoni, and Snyder. Let's see. I'm going to confirm staff on the line here really quickly. I think that confirms everyone. Dennis Mulligan.
Present.
There you go. You're on the right connection now. Joe Wire.
Yes.
Ava Barr-Furbish.
Present.
You. Kim Manolius.
Morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Madeline Chun. I see you, Madeline. Dave Rivera.
Good morning, President.
Thank you. Mona Babauta.
Present.
Thank you. Jim Swindler is not with us, and I believe Michael Hoffman is here in his place to do the presentation. Mike, you there?
Yep, present. Good morning.
Great. Thank you. And Kelly Hopper.
Present.
Perfect. That confirms staff on the line.
Great. Welcome again, everyone, and sorry about the delay. I would like to remind everyone now to mute their microphones until after the staff's presentation, and remember to unmute when we open up for directors' discussion. If we have directors joining us by phone, please use your mute button or *6 to unmute yourself. After staff's presentation, I will be asking for any questions or comments on the item. Click on the raised hand function if you have a question, or press *9 if joining by phone. If there are any questions, the secretary or I will call on you accordingly. If we missed your raised hands, please speak up. And after our discussion, we will ask for any public comment before moving on. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of our meeting packet. We will begin with agenda item number 3 to approve actions relative to the Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System Project. The staff report begins on page 3, and Ava Bauer-Furbish will begin presenting this item. Ava, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Garbarino. This staff report on the agenda item number 3 is a follow-up on June 24th, 2021 staff report on cost increases that are related to delays to the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System and replacement of the suspension bridge maintenance travelers. This work is done on the construction contract 2016-B01 with Shimmick Construction Company, Dennis Construction Company, a joint venture. The Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent Project is partially funded with monies from Federal Highway and Caltrans. Accordingly, the district follows the rules and procedures set forth in Caltrans Local Assistance Procedures Manual for federally assisted projects. In conformance with the manual, the district developed construction contract administration plan for the project, which states that the contract administration would be performed by the district's engineering department staff with the assistance of consultants with expertise in various aspects of construction administration and engineering. At the June 2021 committee meeting, staff reported that the contractor projected the construction completion to be delayed by about 46 months to November 2024, which would require an estimated additional $23,198,717 for the contract as administration and construction engineering by the district's engineering staff and consultants. A listing of items included in this estimate is presented in the table on page 3 of this staff report, or page 5 of the meeting packet. In June 2021, the Board of Directors authorized $7,910,000 increase in fiscal year 21-22 Bridge Division capital budget for the suicide deterrent project. This is project number 1526. This increase was to finance continuation of construction management and administration by the engineering staff, construction scheduling and claim evaluation services consultant, and field inspection support services consultant through approximately November of this year. This increase has been financed with Surface Transportation Program funds programmed by MTC. At that time, staff also reported that the construction progress and expenses related to the contract administration and construction engineering would be reviewed before November 2022 to determine any necessary additional budget increases. Staff has reviewed the project 1526 budget and has determined that the budgets for the engineering staff, the schedule and claim support services consultant, and the field inspection services consultant have to be increased in order to continue with supporting the project implementation. Staff anticipates that the same level of the staff and consultant involvement that have been provided for the past year will also be required through December 2023. Staff recommends that the budgets for these aspects of the project implementation through December 2023 be increased as follows. A $4,637,000 increase to be made to the project 1526 staff budget. $1,542,000 increase under Amendment 3 be made to PSA 2018 B7 Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System and Wind Retrofit Construction Scheduling and Claim Review Services with Secretariat International. The amendment would involve an estimated 6.53% DBE subconsultant participation. And finally, a $2,127,000 increase under Amendment 3 to PSA number 2018 B84 Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent Field Inspection Support Services with Summit Associates. This amendment is estimated to involve about 73.6% DBE participation, since Summit Associates themselves are a DBE certified DBE entity. These proposed increases would result in increasing the fiscal year 22-23 Bridge Division capital budget for Project 1526 by $8,306,000, which would be funded with district reserves. And this would increase the total project budget to $214,938,868. If approved by the board and recommended by this committee, the total authorized increase in the project 1526 budget would be $16,270,000 as compared to the June 2021 staff estimate of $23,198,717. And with this, I'll be happy to answer any question that the committee may have for me.
Eva, thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues, directors at this time? Barb, go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. Ava, I appreciate the detail from this. I'm hoping that Dick Grossbull is on and that he speaks up, because he's the one that keeps us sort of on the straight and narrow with the suicide deterrent. That's something that he loves. Is there an end to the increases in the suicide deterrent budget? I know that we're hopeful that 2024 would get us something that we could say, yes, we're finished. And now I see that it's moved out a couple years. Where are we headed with it? I mean, I know that we're not going to stop. That's not my point. My point is just, you know, I guess there's a part of me that doesn't understand how the contractors can keep coming back and saying, oh gosh, you know, not now, not now. And I know we're doing a yeoman's task trying to keep on top of it with our staff. So that's not a criticism at all. It's just a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Parr. So as you may notice, in my presentation, I pointed out that to continue with this construction through 2024, which is the latest estimate from the contractor, way back in 21, we estimated we will have to add about $23 million to the budget for contract administration. As of now, with this proposed increase, we are at about $16.3 million increase. So I believe that we will have to come to this committee and to the board with more increases that I hope will stay within the projection that we made in last year. It means that we probably will need another for about $7 million.
Okay, thank you again.
Madam Chair, this is Dick. Could I have a comment?
Sure, and then David and Sabrina. Go ahead, Dick.
Well, I was just with Ava and Dennis a couple days ago on this, and as Dennis says, the net is being built, and it is moving, and it's moving forward, and at least as of recently, the pace seems to be a little bit better, and they can comment on that more than me, than what it was. We're dealing with a contractor that has been problematic, but as Ava just said, this request is consistent with what they'd estimated before, and it's you know, we're hoping by the end of next year that the net portion will be done, and of course, then after that, the travelers and all that is significant. It will take much longer, but I support this request, and unfortunately, it is what it is right now, dealing with the contractors and just the delays that have occurred. But I do support it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dick. I saw David first and then Sabrina, and I apologize. I think the squirrels have done some more damage inside my computer, but I'm not seeing everyone. So please shout out if I'm not seeing you in your raised hand. Go ahead, David.
Thank you very much. I think those squirrels were with me yesterday at the SMART meeting. I'm supportive, especially as Ava, and Ava, thank you and your staff for all the work. And I think we all recognize, given the history of the contractor, that we knew that we were going to err on the side of having a larger oversight and administration budget. And so, and given your 16.3 as opposed to the what was evaluated to be 21, at first I thought this was a significant increase because of the work pace or the work that the contractor is doing. I guess my question really goes to, have we seen a change in pace of not only work, but in claims, requests, and change orders, with hopefully some sort of stabilization of ownership with the contractor going forward? And do we think that will remain as we finish? And I know that's a difficult one to answer. Just curious about that, what that trend is looking like right now.
So with respect to the installation of the net, we see that they gaining speed. as they gain this learning curve, they follow the learning curve. And right now, for example, we can see a daily rate of installation at about 100 feet, which is a significant progress in efficiency of this installation. There are issues related to how the contractor organizes their work, and this become an ongoing problem. We see problem with coordination between how they schedule deliveries of materials and what they really want to do at the field site, which means that in quite few instances, the lack of materials for something they would like to do now, so they have to switch to some other location, or some other location doesn't have enough workers to continue with the work. We work with the contractor on the daily basis, so the money we spend in the contract administration is in a way to mitigate and somewhat help the organization of the field work. But it is what it is. Now, with respect to the claims, it is a really difficult subject. We see that the third ownership of the company we're dealing with basically proceeds on the same path at the larger rate than the second owner or even the first owner did. So I hope this answers your question, Director Rabbit.
Could I add a little bit more to Ava's understanding the challenges she and her team are dealing with? Shimmick is on their third ownership group since the board awarded this construction contract. The current owner of Shimmick is Oroco Capital. We are aware that Oroco Capital was involved and did own another construction company, where last year they walked off jobs on that other company, and they are engaged in litigation, the ownership of Oroco Capital, with their bonding companies. And so we have had discussions with them. So there's lots of challenges. They filed lots and lots of claims. They're seeking to get money. At this juncture, we're reviewing claims, Ava's team is, and they don't see merit. So it's easy for someone to file claims, but we are carefully reviewing everything. If we owe a contractor money, we always pay them. But because someone says they owe you money, or you should be scared what a jury might think, if there's no merit, there's no discussion of quantum, which is the amount. And so kudos to Ava and her team. It's very challenging. The current ownership is different, but the good news is they're building the net.
Yeah, thank you, Ava, and thank you, Dennis, for that. I appreciate that. I think we all knew that the difficulties and the challenges that we were going to face. I do appreciate, and I would support making sure that we spend our money, almost an insurance policy, as it were, to make sure that we protect the district. And I know that you're doing that each and every day. And it sounds like the learning curve on the project installation is progressing as well as can be, but less so on the organization, coordination, and the attitude of some sort of deep pocket, vulnerable entity. So thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Sabrina and then Chris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much, Ava, for your comprehensive report. We always appreciate the information you provide, not only in these individual needs for authorization for extension of contract or whatever, but certainly your engineering report. But on today's request for this approval, and I suspect I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it just for the record. And that is there any benefit to be derived with possibly extending a contract? I noticed your timeline and the timeline of board actions on Secretariat began in 2017. There was an amendment and a change again in 2021. We're reapproving extensions or amending this contract sort of on an annual basis. Are there any financial or otherwise benefits to the district and or to you and your needs for this contract to not to extend authorization to continue to contract with these agencies for periods of longer than a year?
So if I may, as much as I always say, if something has 6 figures, it's hard to imagine really the amount of money, but we count every dollar and we really monitor very closely. We have good consultants, I have to say, about Summit and Secretariat, but we want to make a great value of every dollar we spend. And at this juncture, it's very difficult to predict where we will be with the contractor at the end of 2023 in terms, especially the claims. So I think it doesn't improve the situation or doesn't help that we put simply more money in those contracts, because what may happen, the rest of the money we estimated, we may need to spend with other consultants. For example, we will have the fabrication, hopefully, in progress in 2023 of the travelers. We have to evaluate the situation with the shop inspection during that fabrication. So my recommendation is that at this time, we stick with the December 2023, and before December 2023, reassess again.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Sabrina and Ava. Chris?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the report too. It's really fascinating how these things kind of play out. I was just kind of curious if is there like, maybe to Dennis, is there like an arbitration clause or anything for us to recoup costs that we have to incur as a district because of their delay? And I know we sat on some meetings with Shimmick and we were able to kind of combat some of their claims that aren't legitimate. Is there a way to kind of recoup some of this money? And
the contract, like all of our contracts, includes a liquidated damages clause that includes an approximation of what our costs might be. Clearly, our costs are proving to be much higher than that, particularly because their delay also triggers additional rope inspections of the bridge.
okay.
But we do have, an excellent contract. Ava and legal counsel put that together. Julie Sherman from Hanson Bridge was active in working with Ava on that. So the clauses have various protections and have various processes for adjudicating disputes, and we are utilizing those processes as we speak. Separate from all that, the parties have had a couple mediation sessions. And so there's lots of effort there to see if we can reach an amicable settlement. We've had many jobs with Shimmick in the past. We've always reached an amicable settlement. And so that is obviously the goal, secondarily to protecting the district's interests.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else? All righty, that concludes discussion on item number 3. But before we take our vote, Amaret, is there anyone from the public that wants to speak on this item?
We have no speakers from the public on this item.
Thank you again. Colleagues, may I have a motion on agenda item number 3 to approve actions relative to the Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System Project?
So moved, Rabbit.
Thank you, David. I heard a second. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Roll call vote, please.
Thank you. And I just want to acknowledge that on the line as well as Director Conroy, she's called in via phone, and I'm not sure if you see her popped up there. Just to remind you, if you're calling by phone, remember to hit *6 to unmute yourselves. I'm going to start with, because we are a committee of the whole, I'm going to start with Director Arnold. Is absent. Director Conroy.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice is absent. Director Grosbol.
Aye.
Director Hernandez.
Aye.
Director Meston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill is on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. First Vice President Cochran
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 13 ayes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of my colleagues and staff, for that important deliberation as well, and the motion passes. We will move on now to agenda item number 4, to approve actions relative to award of sole source contract number 2022-F-084, California Air Resources Board, CARB, compliant Tier 4 diesel engines to Pacific Power Group. The staff report begins on page 13, and Director of Engineering and Maintenance, Michael Hoffman, will be presenting this item. Mike, welcome back, and please begin your report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, board members. The item before you today is an award of contract to Pacific Power Group of Kent, Washington for the purchase of 4 EPA-rated Tier 4 diesel engines manufactured by MTU Friedrichshafen of Germany in the amounts of $3,505,727. Staff also requests the board authorize a contract contingency of $175,286 to cover unforeseen materials or service necessary for the storage and preservation. Pacific Power Group is the only MTU factory authorized dealership for the sales, parts, and servicing of the MTU engines in our geographical location. In March of this year, the California Air Resource Board, CARB, approved amendments to its commercial hovercraft regulation governing the tailpipe emissions from hovercraft, including tugboats and ferries operated in California coastal and inland waters. So these amendments apply directly to the entire fleet of district vessels. The regulation as passed in March requires our ferry vessels to be powered by EPA-rated Tier 4 engines, including a diesel particulate filter. In response to the regulation, district staff has developed a CARB compliance plan that includes the repowering of the MS San Francisco and MS Marin, with the MS San Francisco repower project starting in late 2023. Due to current lead times of 9 to 12 months, the district must purchase the 4 engines necessary to repower these 2 vessels now. The district's operational needs necessitate that the MS San Francisco and MS Marin use MTU main propulsion engines. The current fleet is comprised of 7 vessels, all of which are powered by MTU engines. In total, the fleet has 22 MTU main propulsion engines. The ferry division's maintenance staff is properly tooled and has been trained to service MTUs. The district will be using a Carl Moyer grant fund in the amount of $1,410,000, which is specific to the purchase of MTU 12V4000 M64R engines and cannot be repurposed for a different engine type without resubmitting the grant. Ferry division staff has been actively exploring all options, including hybrid and electrification, and the development of the CARB compliance plan. A hybrid option, when compared to the traditional direct drive diesel propulsion system, significantly increases the weight of the vessel, which also increases the vessel displacement and drag or resistance through the water. Based on these factors, a study performed by Elliott Bay Design Group determined that the hybrid system does not improve the environmental impact of the Spalding class vessels, as the increased weight and subsequent vessel resistance through the water demands additional power, offsetting the gain of hybridization. The district's fleet has CARB compliance dates ranging from 2024 to 2027, and given this tight timeline and the required capital improvements that would be necessary for rapid charging and energy storage at the multiple terminals Spalding vessels utilize, the shift to electric propulsion is not feasible. Staff will review the future plans for Larkspur and San Francisco Ferry Terminal to ensure that terminal replacement projects at these locations include infrastructure to support future electrification of vessels. Given the information available, staff determined the MTU Tier 4 engine is the best option for CARB compliance on the MS San Francisco and MS Marin, and recommends the board approve the contract award to Pacific Power Group for 4 engines in the amount of $3,505,727, with a contract contingency of $175,286. Thank you. You're on mute, Patty.
Thanks so much. My dog has joined me, and I was worried he might be interrupting our conversation. Thanks again, Mike. Are there any questions or comments from directors at this time on item number 4? Seeing none. Okay, I'll bring it back then. But before we take our vote,
We do have one person,
Okay, sorry.
2 people.
Bert and then Mike.
Yeah, just for curiosity, do these engines have a defined lifetime relative to the Department of Transportation that they can be depreciated under that would affect our future decisions?
That's a good question, Bert, and I don't have the answer for that, so I'd have to get back to you on that.
I could jump in. Unlike buses, where FTA says they replace them every 12 years and they have certain thresholds, engines do not have the same criteria. So in a few years, we could take these engines out and electrify the Spaldings. When we anticipate it'll happen in the next couple of years, the technology is such that they can meet our speed profile, and we have the time to put the infrastructure in.
Thanks for understanding where it was going. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. Mike?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Hoffman for his additional remarks beyond what was in the materials already distributed with regard to the decision relative to either a hybrid power system or an electric power system. I think that's useful for us and for the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anyone else, Amaret? I'm fearful of hitting another button and having something else go wrong.
I see no other hands up.
Okay, thanks. That concludes our discussion then on item number 4. But before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak?
We have no speakers from the public.
Thanks. Colleagues, may I have a motion on agenda item number 4 to approve actions relative to sole source contract number 2022-F-084?
Madam Chair, I'll move that item.
Thank you.
Second,
Chair.
Rabbit.
Second, David. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please a roll call vote.
Thank you. With the first and second voting on item number 4, we have Director Arnold first, who's absent. Director Conroy.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice is absent. Director Grosball.
Aye.
Director Hernandez.
Aye.
Director Maston.
Aye.
Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Tirio.
Yes.
Thank you. That is 13 ayes.
Thanks again, Amaret, and the motion passes. We will move on to agenda item number 5 now, an informal monthly report on the board appointees on the Smart Transit Board. I'll start off the report, but would be anxiously welcoming my colleagues also adding to the report. To start from our board meeting of September 13th, that was our September 7th, excuse me, meeting. We have a new communications and marketing manager, Julia Gonzalez. She has 20 years of experience managing communications, and I'll remind my colleagues that SMART will soon be coming up on the ballot again for a vote on their funding. The ridership report is extremely positive. The July average weekday ridership, oh good, there's another dog, is up 68% since the previous July. August average weekday ridership is 77% higher than the previous year. August 2022 average weekday ridership has grown 76% of August 2019 average weekly ridership. I hate to say this, but by comparison, BART is currently at 37% of its pre-pandemic ridership. Maybe not good karma to compare ourselves to other agencies. August monthly average ridership was up 93% over last August. And the real story of August ridership is the growth seen since the start of school in mid-August. Average weekday ridership has increased 17% since August 15. So I think they're making these numbers up, but it all is a good story in terms of the use of mass transit and SMART. In addition, we had a report in the same meeting regarding the update on pathway maps, which will improve legibility and information on pathway status. They're in 2 formats: online, interactive, and printable versions. And then finally, for that meeting, we also increased 2 weekday round trips beginning October 3rd, bringing weekday scheduling ridership train trips to 38. We had a meeting yesterday, as David mentioned earlier. Again, ridership report is at a new post-COVID high. It's 67% over last September and is at 75% of 2019 numbers. Our Citizens Oversight Committee is also reviewing and approving new bylaws. There's new signage at the Larkspur terminal or the end of the ferry in order to get to our ferry terminal, which is was greatly received and a great improvement. And we gave an award in the Department of Maintenance of Way to Employee of the Month, Jonathan Lyman Lopez. And finally, our union negotiations came to a conclusion, an agreement, and there was a comment that that thanked the union for their good faith efforts in negotiations as well. And with that, I will ask my colleagues on the SMART board if they have anything to add, correct, or take away. Go ahead.
Well, I appreciate that. I actually had to step away to get the contract that just came via FedEx for me to sign as chair. So we do appreciate Teamsters 665 for negotiating with us and getting to the contract in a relatively efficient manner. So I think the other thing that's interesting, and I'm not sure how this affects our own transit system, talking to the general manager, especially with the excessive heat that we had and then the first rain of the year, we seem to be very weather dependent on our ridership. On both days, for the heat and for the rain, ridership was down a little bit from what it normally is. And I suspect that might be true across the board on where people have options to stick in the car or not go out that day, perhaps. So just another little learning curve along the way of trying to really anticipate what the quote unquote new normal is going forward. So do appreciate the all the work of staff at SMART.
Good. Anything else, Barb? Thank you, David. No, it's all good. Any board members who have comments or questions regarding that report? Bert, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question. Congratulations. I appreciate what you said about what I interpret as wayfinding to get to the ferry from the smart car. But is the reverse also possible? I've complained a number of times that it's very difficult for people getting off of the ferry to find an easy, quick way to get clear directions. And has that changed? I'm going to find out this weekend.
Oh, good. I'm assuming so, but David or Barb, do you have any insight into that?
I believe those stickers go in both directions.
Right, I think that's correct.
Okay, that was where I was going. So thank you very much. I'll find out.
Okay. Good.
I thought what was interesting was that the bridge probably has the same understanding, is that any kind of signage or placards that were put up didn't last very long, but the stickers or the decals or whatever you call those on the pavement seemingly are a little less destructible and removable. So that's a good thing.
Great. Thank you, Bert. Thank you, David. Bert, we'll look forward to your reporting back next month. That concludes discussion on this item number 5. But before we move on, Amaret, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? And Bert, I don't know if you want to speak again or your hand is still raised.
No, I'm trying to put it down.
Got it. Okay, good deal. Amaret?
We have no speakers on this item.
Okay. There is obviously no action for item number 5, so we'll move on to item number 6, the status report on engineering projects, which begins on page 17 of your packet, and Ava will present her report. Go ahead, Ava.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my written report is before you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have for me.
Thank you. Colleagues, are there any questions for Ava on her engineering report? And Jim, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I want to commend you for the attachments 1 and 2. The illustrations really put things in perspective in your report, and thank you. They're very clear, very helpful. My question is on page 44 at the top, let me get there, talking about the we're waiting for CAPS to submit the final installation plan. And this has been almost a year, and it seems like nothing has happened except for, at least from our perspective. And I'm just wondering why this takes so long if we have a final plan and to get anything going.
Right. Thank you, Director Mastin. The situation is with respect to CAPS involvement with the toll gantry, it became similar to what happened with them providing support for the current toll collection system on the booth. Basically, they are lost in action consultant, and we decided that we have to basically face the reality and sever the connections with them. And I'm working with Dennis and Joe and Joe's staff on developing a new contract. We will have to search and retain new toll collection supplier. Joe and his staff has a good consultant that writes software for our toll collections. So we want to arrange a good cooperation between whomever the new supplier will be and the software consultant. This will allow us to finally move this project forward, because I think it is very important that we build this gantry and we clean up the toll plaza.
And do you have any ideal timeline other than last year?
Right.
On this.
So you know, in all, I think it will take us at least 4 or 5 months to find the new supplier, because we have to spend time to basically review what's there available, what types of toll collection system would be better fit for our situation, which is not really an open road tolling. We will have a gantry, and configuration of our toll plaza is very specific. And with this, our contract, our construction drawings for the toll gantry itself, they are 95% complete. Knowing that new equipment may require adjustments to the frame of the toll gantry, I think it probably will take full 12 months to be in the situation where we can advertise for construction. I hope it will take less, but there will be a lot of readjustments that we have to make to switch gear and bring a new toll collection system for the gantry.
Okay, so we're looking at least a couple of years before things get moving along.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you again, Ava. There's no action associated with item number 6. Is there anyone from the public, though, Amaret, who wishes to speak on this item or address the committee under item number 7, which is public comment?
We have no speakers for this committee or under item number 6. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Amaret. Thank you. We've reached the end of the agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved, Rabbit.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
Second, Mastin.
Hearing no objections, this concludes the meeting of the Building and Operating Committee, but we're not done. Today is actually David's birthday. And so I know we send him many wonderful warm wishes. We could break into happy birthday, or we could, why don't we do that? I was thinking we might just hum it to ourselves, but we could sing unless anybody objects.
No objection.
No objection. So David, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy
birthday
to you. Happy
Happy
birthday.
Birthday, dear David.
Birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
I know. Well, a wonderful, warm, happy birthday and great wishes and chant Donnie and all of that. But that was an interesting happy birthday. And I
Yeah,
hope-
no, thank you all very much. Don't quit your day jobs, but I do
I
appreciate
know,
the.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I do
That and all the
appreciate the
technical
sentiment.
stuff.
Thank you.
I think we're living under a full moon, but happy birthday, David. And that concludes our meeting. The time is 9:48.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you,
Welcome.
everyone. We'll
Thanks
give
for
you
your
2 minutes. We'll start the next meeting at 9:50 so we can